Right, let's do this. Slay the Spire. A game that I have meant to come back to for quite a while now, actually. Because I really like this game. As I continue to battle sound issues. I can't seem to get the game audio to work. At least I don't think I can. So I might try to tackle that at some point. So if you can't hear anything, then yes, assume that I have screwed something up in that regard. So yeah, I've not come back to this in a very long time. 13 hours, one victory. Still lots of things to unlock, including the third character which now exists. Which is the Silent. Sorry, not Silent, I just didn't say what it is. I can't. I feel like I vaguely heard what it is. But I have got one win with the Ironclad, but never the Silent, which is weird because the Silent I prefer to play. But that's what we're going to be doing. And for those of you unfamiliar with Slay the Spire, what it basically is a single-player card deck building roguelike, in which you are building your deck as you go along, in order to kind of ascend up various levels and kind of make it through to the end, really. And yeah, we'll see how it goes. So yeah, so basically you start off, you get talked to by this giant whale, and you start with some amount of hit points, some money, and a relic. Relics basically just kind of affect how your character works, and you pick up loads of them throughout the game. This one lets us draw 2 additional cards at the start of each combat, and we'll be doing a lot of combat. And every time you get to you get these options, which are quite interesting, because what I like is that, this framework is always the same, but the kind of specifics change. I really like roguelikes, and I really like procedurally generated roguelikes. So yeah, we could ditch our current relic and get a random one from a boss. Take some damage to remove cards, and removing cards is quite important because you start out with this deck of cards that don't really do much. And you can take out the cards that either are kind of useless or ones you pick up and don't actually work for your deck. Enemies in the next 3 combats have 1 HP, and obtain a random colourless uncommon card. I'm going to try starting with Boss Relic. What do we get? Gain energy at the start of your turn, can no longer smith at rest sites. So I'll explain how that works as we come up the various bits. And this is the kind of map we're going to be following. So you can kind of plot your course for how you're going to ascend through each level. Levels feel bigger than they used to be. Because most of these, you kind of see this figure, that's when you're fighting an enemy, you've got elite enemies here, they're harder. The campfires rest, gain HP and all that. Treasure, you get to just pick between some stuff to add to your deck. The unknowns are just random events, and merchants is where you can buy stuff. So it's a case of which path do you think is the best one to follow. It's kind of like most things in this game, it's push your luck, risk reward. See how far you can get. So I like taking the more risky routes, like taking on the kind of random events, taking on elites where I can. So I'm gonna start down this path broadly. It doesn't really matter too much about which we pick out of these, except I'm gonna go for this one so we can kind of get this question mark. Oh, game? Is the game crashing? That would be awkward. It feels like it's crashing. Okay, so yeah, so basically combat is kind of turn-based, and you've got your cards which do things. This is the energy, so all the cards have a cost. It's kind of like mana, and the cost is energy. So you can see these basic ones that like just deal damage or do defense, they just cost 1. We get 4 energy because we're getting this at the start of our turn. So we're kind of getting an extra mana every turn, which is, you know, a pretty nice effect. And the aim is to just kill these things, whatever these enemies do. And you know what your enemy is going to do, which gives you some options. So you can try and kill it really quickly. So, you know, this just straight up deals 6. You can do something like defend, which gives you block. What block does is basically absorbs damage. So if we did this, that attack for 11 becomes an attack for 6, basically. And you got some more powerful cards than non pure basics. So gain some block and discard a card, or neutralize, which deals some damage and applies weak. And neutralize is quite a nice one because it's free. We can put it here. Deal some damage when the attack for this gets less. Meaning we can do this. So this is going to give us 8 block. We discard a card because we don't need the block to survive because any more block is just, we're absorbing this already. And that means we can use the rest of our energy to do damage. The pointing the arrow thing did not exist before when I played this. And you'll see when you play cards that go to your exhaust pile, so this is kind of like the graveyard basically. And then we've got the rest of our deck here. We can see what's in the deck. Some things will let you see the order. And yeah, once your deck runs out of cards, your exhaust gets shuffled back in. Our opponent is going to be defensive, so we don't need to block. So you can do this. And you always discard your hand at the end of turn. So there's no point in protecting resources or holding them in hand. Yeah, Connor. Known as a new content, it's out of early access. Which admittedly I think happened a while ago. But I haven't come back to it since it was in early access. I really wish I could get the game audio to work. I don't know why it isn't. Is it because it's playing out of my actual speakers? In which case you might hear through my microphone. So we're going to get hit for 10. So if we weaken first, but then we can just deal enough damage to survive? Yeah. And basically at the end of every combat you get some rewards. So get some gold, and then you can add a card to your deck. And this is where the fun of it really comes in, is that you're kind of building your deck as you go, and you can build it any number of directions. So this is just like weaken the enemy, deal some damage to get more energy next turn. So it's kind of like you're setting yourself up to have like big turns where you play all your cards. Whenever you draw this, add a copy into your hand, deal 4 damage, exhaust. So what exhaust means, I know this is confusing because there's an exhaust pile, is basically this is just removed until the end of the combat. That means it's just gone for that kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? For the case of like whatever you've run into, whatever flaw you're doing, you just lose it for that instance of combat. I'm going to go for a Sucker Punch because I like dealing weak. We have no choice where to go but here. Cool, so we've got some, I can't remember what any of these enemies do. So this is just going to attack us for free. And this is going to put some sort of negative effect on us. Which we won't know what it is, because I've really not learned what any of this stuff does yet. So if we deal with this thing, then we won't have to worry about the attack there. And while we're doing stuff, we'll weaken this and get some damage in. This is the nice thing about having the extra energy, is we can do loads of stuff. We're getting licked. So we get a frail debuff. That means our block cards, we get a lot less out of them. Thankfully, the cards update and tell you how much they're doing, so I don't have to do maths. The opponent, again, the enemies here are just going to put another status effect on us, so we can just fairly freely attack. And then I just like using up my hand, even though it's not really time efficient. Like, we're not speedrunners here. And you'll begin to see how some of these enemies work. So it's like this one's weakened us for a few turns, and now it'll try and get in for one big hit. Thankfully we can absorb that. But we'll get in loads of damage first. But yeah, you can begin to do some really crazy stuff, and the enemies do some weird things as well. So basically, that hit us, and as part of that effect, we get this thing called Slimed. So this basically has added a card to our deck for this combat. And basically we'll draw it, the card does nothing, so basically it stops us from drawing a card we actually wanted. Thankfully we get to kill this pretty quickly. Cool, so another thing you can get is these potions, so you can use these at any time on your turn. And you can choose to use them as much as you like, or kind of hoard them. This one's interesting, so you can add, it'll get us some random skill cards that cost 0 this turn. And skills are something like this. So we can apply 5 poison to a creature. So that means the way poison works in this is that they'll lose 5 the first time, 4 the next, 3 then 2 then 1. So got some interesting options here. So the thing with these is that poison is like one of the decks you can build. And in that case, something like Bane can become 1 mana to deal 14 damage. This obviously just applies the poison to begin with, and this is just deal 8, draw 1. I'm going to just pick up the deadly poison for now, as just a way of like starting that poison chain. Let's go for a random encounter. The gurgling and grinding metals. So yeah, this is very much in keeping of the push your luck system. So we can choose to lose some life, and at the moment we're at full health, kind of tying into that magic sense of life as a resource, and with the risk of finding a relic. And relics are super powerful. Like this one is already doing so much work, because at these kind of early levels we're basically getting to play a card for free. And see this thing, we can keep pushing it. I'd give it one more go, and one more go. And I probably shouldn't push any further than that. It's a risky one because the relics can be really powerful. Like the one of these that I've won was purely off the back of just having loads of relics that just stacked and stacked and stacked, and you get to feel really powerful. Yes, I vaguely remember these louses. So what happens with these is that when they take any damage, they gain 5 blocks. So we have to plan around that. This one's going to attack us. This one's going to buff. So we can't actually get through this damage. We can do 18 to it, but it's going to get 7 block. This one, so we won't be able to just straight up kill it. But what we can do is put some poison on this one, block some of the damage, and just spend the rest dealing with this. And because the poison will slowly kill off this one. We'll take our lumps. Yeah, this is definitely a game all about planning what your moves are going to be. So we've moved through those curl ups. So the curl up only happens once per combat, and now we don't have to deal with it again, which means we can pretty much deal with this one right off the bat. And then this isn't actually attacking us, so stack up some damage on it, and then the poison is going to remove the block. Oh no, does poison go through block? I can't remember. This game does a lot of things. Get another potion. So this is what I mean about some cards really tying to certain archetypes. So outmaneuver, you just gain loads of energy, and this is like the sense that you set up these big turns where you sort of combo off. This is kind of like a grindy, like make things go long. Shivs are just like, they just deal some damage for nothing, and then you get rid of them. And this card, this has the ability unplayable, so you can't actually play it from your hand, but if you discard it, you gain energy, which again feeds into some of those combo decks. I'm going to pick up Outmaneuver, because you can just do so many ridiculous things with it if you get the right cards. Ah, these fuckers. So these guys steal our gold every time they attack us, regardless if the damage gets through or not. And then eventually they'll just run away. It's really annoying. So we can block all the damage, I think. You just need to see how much. So if we weaken, that means this is enough to do it. We can get rid of the defend and maximize our damage. And this is really the fun of Slay the Spire. Like, just planning out your turns and just optimizing everything. So again, we can weaken for free. We are going to take some damage this time, but we get to play our entire hand. We get to do some poisoning, and then next turn we get to do even more stuff. Because unfortunately we know exactly what we're going to draw, but it does mean we can just use everything without fear. I think we're basically going to be fine, because this poison's going to finish the job. The nice thing about poison is just, I like in any game where you can do damage over time, so I always go for these poison decks. Fear Potion applies 3 vulnerable. Vulnerable is kind of like the parallel to weak. It just stops the enemies. It means they do less damage, really. So deal 9, draw, and discard one's quite nice. This we've already got a Sucker Punch. They do work well in multiples. Expertise is quite nice. So you just basically draw up to 6, and this works well because we've kind of got the Energy Relic, and we've got that card that adds energy, and again it sets us up for some nice big turns. We're not going to rest, and one of the reasons is our HP isn't that low, and we might be able to get through to another one where we don't have to use the rest rather than gaining cards in combat or doing this. The other reason is, one of the main reasons to rest is you can do this thing called smithing cards, which basically takes a card that you have and it can upgrade it to a stronger version of it. But this relic stops us doing that, so there's very little incentive. Ooh, we got a chest. It's gold, and this is another one of the relics. So when we pick this up, we just get to upgrade two of our attack cards. So these, the strike pluses, as they now are, so they've been upgraded, so they're now strike plus and deal more. You can see all the cards have a subtype, so this is a skill, an attack, and this is a skill as well. So broadly things are either skills, attacks, or I think there's one called abilities. It's been over a year since I played this, but we'll come across them. So yeah, we can't smith. I think we had to go this route, otherwise I wasn't paying attention. And we get all our health back. So we're in decent shape. I have kind of railroaded myself onto this path, so we have to get treasure here, enemy here, sorry, elite there, and then money. So I've kind of like, it would have probably been better to go up here, purely because it's a more open path. And again, this game is very much about planning your route out. Another louse. This one will get 6 block. And when this dies, we get 2 vulnerable, which will make it harder to kill this. So firstly, can we block 7 damage? I'd like to avoid taking damage where possible, so let's do that. Expertise isn't its greatest here. I think we can broadly just kill this thing or get close to it. So we should be able to kill the louse next turn. This thing has now got an extra 3 attack damage, so you do get some enemies that really build up to, and they'll just drop really heavy hits on you. This is quite a nice one. A nice hand. So let's weaken this first and see how much damage we actually need to block. So 6. So we can gain 8 block here, and then use the rest of our turn to kill this. I mean, this works quite nice. So we get our dot on. We're going to have more energy to work with next turn. Not taking any damage, and this will just help tick this one down. And hopefully next turn, because we're going to draw from our exhaust pile, we'll get the one that allows us to draw 6, and we can do loads of things. Not quite the case here, so we're just going to have to settle for killing it. What a shame. This game's just very satisfying to play when you just kind of chain these cards off. 6 damage, 3 poison's quite nice. Draw 1, discard 1 for free is decent. Draw 3, discard 1's also quite nice. I don't think I've ever played with that. I'm kind of doing this combo-y thing, so this is probably the best one. I can't remember if there's payoff cards for it. There probably is. Another chest. Ancient tea set. So another relic for us. I think treasures are usually relics. This one's also quite nice, because it's all about getting extra energy. So whenever we go for a rest site, we start next combat with 2 energy. And why that is quite nice is that there is always a rest site before the boss of a floor. And what that means is we just get to start boss fights with a really strong first turn. And we're now going to fight our first elite. So these are a lot tougher than regular enemies, a lot more health, they basically do a lot more damage. This is a gremlin knob, and if he kills me I will be calling him a knob. And starting out with the deadly poison is quite nice, so we get to apply that. We're not going to be taking any damage this turn, so I'm just going to draw and see if we can get in some extra damage. So not a bad start. Yeah, I believe this guy deals lots of damage, so we're going to get attacked and have a negative effect for 6, which we can't actually block right now. And whenever we play a skill card, this enemy gains 2 strength. So playing things like this are a bit risky. So I think I'm just going to take 4 and let this enrage wear off. Next turn we're going to be applying even more weak, and I'm okay for taking 4. It's hard to get through elites without taking too much damage, and we're in a decent spot. And yeah, this is vulnerable, so we take 50% more damage from attacks for 2 turns, and we can see that we're going to be taking a lot of damage. And this is why we didn't want to use our skills, because this would be even more damage if we were playing into the enrage. I don't know if this only gets 2 ticks, or if this is just kind of a permanent thing. So let's weaken this, and weaken further. So we're going to apply poison, and what this does is the poison does stack. So we've got the leftover from the last one, we add on another 5, it's going to take 8 next turn. So we're already getting this pretty close to dead. I can't remember if this is worth doing. So if this goes to 23 or above, it wasn't worth doing. Okay, so it does actually block more than it is making us take, and I think we should be able to kill this next turn. Would have been nice to avoid that hit. Ooh, this is not the way to kill it. So I think I'm going to go for the kill this turn, so it's worth risking that, and then yeah, that alongside the poison should be enough. Could have hoped for a cleaner elite, but that's not too bad. Oh, and yeah, at least more likely to drop relics and more gold. So whenever we climb a floor, we gain 12. And it stops working when we spend gold at a shop. That's quite interesting. So we're going to be gaining lots of money, but as soon as we spend money, it doesn't do anything. I also think there are rarities in this game. I think it goes like grey, blue, green, yellow, orange, or something like that. It doesn't really say on the cards. I'm going to take this. Again, lots of energy, we do lots of things. This is a little bit of a combo finisher, so hence the name, I guess. Yeah, and this is the problem. We've got that relic, but if we spend any money here, we lose it. The merchant. I enjoy the merchant and his music. which you can't hear. Literally, I'm trying every few minutes. I'm trying every audio setting that I can to try and get the audio to come through, and none of them are working. I don't understand why. I also haven't actually tested the volume, so I don't know if the music is actually coming through. It isn't. So yeah, so here we can buy cards, and yeah, this is, you can see some of the greater rarities that do a bit more damage. So like, apply 2 weak, gain 11 block, 14 damage and discard a bunch of cards in your hand, deal 13 to all enemies. I love the little hand pointing out. Draw 2 cards, put a card from your hand on top of your draw pile. You can also buy relics. And you can remove some cards. I'm going to leave because I still don't really know what my deck's building towards, so it's not worth spending a bunch of money there just yet. Then more random encounters. Ooh. So yeah, sometimes you get choices like this, so we can improve our maximum HP. So we've just got more survivability. We can heal up, which I'm not going to do. And this is an interesting one. So, becoming cursed, and this isn't a reason that deck, like removing cards from your deck can be a thing. Being cursed basically means you get some sort of card in your deck that has a really negative effect. In this case, you see it in the bottom right. We get a card that we can't play, and at the end of our turn, we lose health equal to the number of cards in our hand still. That's not a bad one if you pick up enough things that discard, so we've already got a couple like that. Or if you feel confident you can play most of your hand each time. And for getting a relic, I think it's probably worth the risk, because we can always remove this later. You are filled with sadness, but mostly regret. The first time we lose HP each combat, draw 3 cards. That seems pretty strong. Merchant isn't worth it for us. So this would be random event, enemy, merchant, random event, enemy, merchant. So I'm going to go this route. And yeah, we're constantly gaining gold all the time off this. And that's the thing, we've got a fair amount of gold, so we can pay 50 and remove this. So we got basically a relic for 50 gold, which is quite a good deal. Slimes and slaves. So let's deal with this guy, if we can. Let's discard 1 defend. Ideally want to chain together a bunch of attacks. So this is going to deal 12, or you can block some, or start stacking up poison. I probably shouldn't have drawn the extra cards there, to be honest. I was a bit greedy. Let's just get some poison on this dude. Getting less blocked now. So, this is the downside to not... we're now getting in a position where we might want to start stacking up block. And we've got to draw a lot of cards this turn. So what can we do? We can do 9, 15, 22. So we can't kill anything outright. We can certainly weaken something down. 9, 15, 22, gets weak. Takes 4 poison, so I think you continue to focus here. can't kill outright, so we can stack up some block instead. And absorb at least part of this. It's not going the best at the moment. But we should be able to get some kills in, so that's going to die. Weaken that, poison it, and put up some block just in case my maths is wrong. So one of the reasons I go poison is that sometimes you can just poison stuff at the end of, like poison stuff really early on. And then you can just focus on being defensive. And just let things tick down. So there is a shift deck that we're not building. This gets us 4 block and we gain 4 the next turn. If we discard this, draw a card. We do have a fair bit of discard. I kind of want to have a bit more safety in there. However, let's rest. Did not get much health off that. And go to our first boss, which I'm not feeling very confident about, if I'm being completely honest with you. Oh, what does this one do? I know these all do things, and I can't remember what this one does. But I remember it being one of the more annoying ones. So there is a select few bosses that you can get in this game that do various things. Sorry, the screen went back there. And we don't know what it's going to do, but it's not attacking. I think this is one where you attack it for the first time and then it starts doing stuff. It kind of wakes up. In which case I'm kind of inclined to not do anything here, because it's not worth getting in 9 damage. This is going to be a waste of energy, but I'm not really doing anything. So I think this then won't do anything, and we can set with oh, no, I was wrong. Oh, I remember how this one works now. It starts out hitting us really hard, and these flames will go out, which is the multiplier. So it's doing 5 times 6, and I think it goes down to like 5 times 5. So that weak is nice. That will deal with some of it, and I guess we're just swinging for the rest. Yeah, this one could be a nasty one, because you kind of have to survive the storm, and it kind of loops. Not once we've been able to really take advantage of outmaneuver, but we will this time. Because we're only taking... Oh, all the lights have gone out, so now we're just taking average damage. So we're surviving this already. Get some poison in. Anything we're drawing? Not really. I mean, we get to definitely play finisher next turn. Yes, so we're getting something out of our deck, which is a burn. This isn't the exhaust pile, it's the discard pile. So at the end of our turn we take 2 damage. So that is an annoying one, for sure. So let's draw 3, discard 1. Need to survive probably less than 10 damage because we're going to weaken, so we can get rid of this defend. So that's now 6 damage. Discard this. Try and set a big turn next time. Getting in a decent chunk. And you can see these lights are now beginning to tick up. So it's going to start moving its way up to doing that big attack we saw at the start again. I didn't realise this We seem to be getting 2 energy each turn, which I don't know where that's from. Maybe it says start the next combat with 2 extra, but I didn't realize that applies to every turn, which makes it even better. So that we can block through pretty handily. Like this one's definitely more of an attritional war, and this is where if we were a really big poison deck, it would really begin to add up, because these burns will begin to add up as well. So we need to start finding the. We always want to draw the burns with discard spells. However, we can block through burns as well. So yeah, this is getting strong now. We have to get through 14. And, oh wow, we did not draw any block. Oh no, we drew 1 block. So we can weaken first. I think we want expertise. So we can fade the attack entirely or do some damage. Let's just try and keep alive for now. I also keep forgetting we've got these potions. So, whoops. Been a long time. So let's get vulnerable on this. And let's add some skills. We'll get to choose one. Can apply 99 vulnerable, so it just takes 50% more for the rest of the game. Get a random skill, it costs 0. 6 block, get a shiv. We can block through this turn. Just giving this vulnerable for the rest of the combat is pretty strong. Stacking up our poison to 10. And you can see why I really like poison decks, because as soon as you start stacking them up, they really begin to add up. Speaking of adding up, these burns are adding up. We need to get through 18 damage this time. It was nice to get through that. And yeah, we'll just outmaneuver. Try and set up a big turn next time. Oh god, burn plus. This is and then we go straight into our deck as well. I got to do a lot of damage there. But we are. It's being very closely run. I think you heal when you get to the next level. If we get to the next level. I'm gonna get to discard one of these, but we do another one. This is when I misread how much energy I had there. We're getting fairly close to dead. So is the boss. Okay, drawing no burns, that's quite nice. I'm going to take 8 next turn, so supply our poison. We get to do this. And yeah, a nothing finisher. So we're kind of relying on the poison here. We should be able to finish this turn. Although not if we draw those. So we just want to draw attacks here. If we drew any attacks there, I think we are like, well, okay. I guess we get to defend through all of this. But yeah, wasn't ideal. Okay, it doesn't matter what we do now. This thing's gonna die to poison. Oh no, it isn't. Got some block. But if we deal with the block, yeah, got there in the end. Get us some fruit juice. So that's another relic. Oh, that's a potion, so we can just use that to gain 5 max HP. So I think we just drink that now. And we get some rares. Discard our hand, get 1 shiv for each one discarded. That's an interesting one. Gain energy, draw 2, exhaust. Again, that's for these really combo decks, which our deck's kind of building towards but has no payoffs for. And next turn, draw X, gain X energy, exhaust. I can't remember which of these is best. There's definitely decks where the Shiv thing comes together. But this is the thing, it can be really hard to build a deck as you go. I think this sets up big turns better. We'll find out. And we get to choose a relic. So this is getting even more energy, but we're limited to how many cards we can play. This transforms 3 cards and upgrades them. So basically we get to pick 3 cards. They get turned into anything else that's possible for this class, I think. And then they get upgraded to their best versions, which can be pretty good. And then this, we get even more energy, but we don't really get to pick what we take going forward. So I think I'm going to take this. And let's transform some stuff. Let's do it for 1 random strike, 1 random block, and are any of these particularly poor for us right now? Not really, so let's just do another attack. And those are some pretty good ones, I think. So what do we get? We got Flying Knee upgraded, so we deal 11 and gain energy next turn. So very much what our deck wants to do. Apply 3 weak, gain 14 block. Just a solid card. And this is this would help for the Shiv deck. So at the start, when I was saying about abilities earlier, what I meant was powers. So what this is basically every combat we are guaranteed to get this in our hand. Makes it very reliable, and this is really what you can build decks around. Is there's the guarantee you will always start with this, and at the start of any turn, of every turn we get a free Shiv, and Shivs are like 0 mana, deal 1 or deal 2 or something. And if we've been picking up those Shiv payoff cards, this would be fantastic. As we move into the next floor, so we get fully healed and all that. So let's see this path down here. Some enemies, we've got some elites, and leads us over here, which is very enemy based. This is very enemy based. A lot of treasures around this middle path, and some elites. I think I'm going to start on this path, because all 3 of these lead to an enemy and a random event. But this one we get the choice between a random event and an enemy. So we could go up here, but I think we're going through the middle. And yeah, now the enemies will get harder, they're different. The more floors you go up, the harder things get. And the other thing is, like, the more damage they do, so it can be very tricky, and this is what I always struggle with the Silent more than the Ironclad, which is the one I've already won a game with, is that, like, getting enough block can be a real pain, and then you just start taking damage all the time. So let's use our ability. Let's make this weak. And then let's survive this turn and get some energy for the next one. Like, I'm still very convinced that the best cards and relics in the game are ones that let you keep block through turns. Because then if you just draw a bunch of defends when you don't need them, you just like get to keep the 20 block or whatever. So we're going to get some sort of negative effect. And yeah, this is the thing about shifts. So we're going to get one every turn, it's just deal 4. And that's why this ability is quite nice, it's just we now have an ability that basically is every turn deal 4 for free. Which is a pretty nice spot to be in. What else can we do? So we could, on our next turn, have 5 extra cards and 5 extra energy, which the opponent's not doing anything right now. But I think what I'd do is do that and then do this for 4. And see if we can set up a big turn, because there's a good chance that we'll now draw a finisher and just do a bunch of attacks and really hit hard. We have been hexed. Whenever you play a non-attack card, shuffle 1 Dazed into your draw pile. Okay, so yeah, we got the finisher. So I always like starting out with our 0 mana ones because they don't affect anything. So do we want to get Dazed? I can't remember what Dazed does. So we can just do all our attacks. Oh, Dazed is unplayable and ethereal. So we can't play it. If it's in the end of our, and at the end of the turn, if it's in our hand, it's exhausted. So it means it's a blank draw. So let's attack. Draw 3, discard 1. Get rid of that. Use more attacks. So I'm just going to add up some blocks here, which I know gives us the days, but we're going to try and kind of combo. So let's draw 6. Didn't draw any of the zeros. So we can deal 28 or add on the poison. I think we just deal the 28. So yeah, that's kind of a very mini version of what our deck's trying to do. Is just have these really big turns that we have like one or two payoff cards that we can draw to. Yeah, we weren't far off just drawing off the zeros and really going for it. Let's do some weakening. So we're going to take a bit of a hit here. But we should be able to wrap this up the next turn. Yeah, this is a nice one. Like, a lot of our relics work very well for what we want to do. Draw 4, discard 1 further suits us. Deal 8, draw 1's quite nice. We don't quite have enough discard for this, but a draw 4, discard 1's quite good. We're just looking for more payoffs. So, and this is the risk reward thing. Like, you try and kill more enemies to get more cards and so on and so on. Yes, this thing. So, these things are really annoying. They add a lot of block. It's got this physical barricade, so block isn't removed at the start of its turn. So we've got to chunk through this 40 block here. And it's got this physical artifact, which means if we apply debuffs, the first 3 of them will be negated. So we kind of need to work our way through that. So let's get our shivs. They're quite handy here. And we're not getting attacked, so we can use some energy to get some next turn. And let's just see if we can draw into some extra stuff. We didn't. We get to get some energy next turn at least. So setting up a nice next turn. Would it be nice to draw like one of the vulnerables or something so we can start removing the artifact stacks? Poison should be quite good in this situation as well. We are getting attacked for 10. So, get the shiv there, apply some weak. So yeah, there's one effect down. And this is a nice thing about Doppelganger, the fact that we gain all this energy, is we're getting to play our whole hand, and next turn we just get to draw 3, gain 3. We do have an exhausted pile card here as well. I don't remember if there's anything that interacts with that, but we'll find out. Ooh. So we might be able to set up a nice finisher turn here. So let's start with our freebies. Applying 3 weak here is, I mean, we've now got rid of the artifacts stacks, so get this down to 14. So now surviving this turn. Draw 3, discard 1, so get rid of that. And we're trying to set up for a big finisher here if we can. So, getting a bunch of damage. getting a bunch of damage, and now we are through the block. And this is the thing, like, it's just having those big turns. That's what we're looking for. The downside for us is that we only really have finisher as a payoff right now. We're very good at being able to get to it. Dexterity potion, gain 2 dexterity. Can't remember what dexterity does. Kind of like getting another leg sweep. We kind of need the block and weak to kind of survive a lot. Gonna keep killing enemies rather than trying to get the random encounters for now. We also need to start thinking about using these potions because you get them fairly frequently, and you don't want. They're not really worth hoarding. The attack potion will be quite nice, but I kind of want to save that for a boss because it helps us combo off into finisher. Apply 3 weak, gain 2 dexterity. Improves block gained from cards. Cool. So let's just use this time. Not really much to do this turn, but defend. Gain some energy, survive some damage. Not really put any pressure on the enemies. Right, so from what I remember, anything that buffs is normally what you want to kill first. So let's start shivving this friend down. But weaken this guy. Draw up to 6. That'll deal with you. Let's poison you. No point using that here, so let's just keep focusing down this mystic. Strength can be really annoying just because the attack damage ticks up, and we're a fairly... Like, the thing with the Silent is that it's a fairly vulnerable class. Okay, we're not getting attacked this turn. We've got a finisher in hand, but no energy to really pay it off. If we go strike, so that'd be 9, 18, and 12. So that's 30, so wouldn't, and then the Mystic would almost die. If you went... Oh no, if we use these, then the poison... Oh, we don't even need the poison. Amazing. Getting some extra damage here. This is why I don't play combo in Magic, for the record. Okay, so I think... I didn't realise clicking out... It's not like when I'm playing Arena, clicking out of the screen to check something makes the screen go blank, so apologies for that. Do the freebies. Keep making weak, because we actually just can't deal with that right now. And setting up for a big turn next time. But we are going to take a pretty big hit here, unfortunately. So if we draw Finisher here... Is Finisher the last card in our deck? No, it's still an Exhaust, so... Maybe can't combo off. Although we do have the Acrobatics. And a lot of energy. So, let's draw 4, discard 1. Get rid of a random block. Okay, so, not taking any damage. That is not the time to use that. Okay, there's Finisher. Currently 2 attacks played. So 1. I think this is enough. Yeah, that's how we do it. That's what we want to be doing. Let me know if I'm going too fast or anything for this, by the way. It's not very intuitive. Ooh, this is a different set of things to choose from. All enemies lose 6 strength this turn, exhaust. So that's kind of like getting to take a turn off from taking damage for the most part. A Apply 4 poison and 2 weak to all enemies exhaust. That's pretty good. Gain 10 block, deal 10. I think this is probably quite nice. Just stacking up those poison triggers can be pretty good. I've got some choices here. I'm going to go for another enemy because I just want to build the deck up. I feel like the deck isn't that powerful right now. Malleable. Upon receiving attack damage, gains 3 block. Block gain increases as malleable is triggered. Resets to 3 at the start of your turn. Okay. Poison's going to be handy here. I'll tell you that now. That was a bad set of draws. Because I don't want to take 21. But it looks like we are taking 21. I remember this guy being particularly nasty for a random enemy. Not the best situation for Shiv. I don't have anything that really adds weak here. I think that's going to be quite important in this case. Let's fit in the damage where we can. This is 12, yeah. Yeah, this block adds up. It really, really does. Obviously, they lose it at the end of the turn, but this is a very annoying enemy to deal with, especially because it hits very hard. So we need to make the most of what we've got. Get some weakness in there. And the thing with adding weak stacks is that it doesn't upgrade the amount of weakness they've got. It just means it lasts for more turns, which is quite nice. Because this is one we're going to have to grind through. Adding up all our poison stacks is quite nice. Oh wow, frail and weakened. So we're taking more. We're gaining less block and dealing less damage. Okay. So let's just use our basic stuff. Add poison. That's a nice one because that should get us through the majority of the damage. Then next turn, we don't need to do anything because next turn this thing's just going to die to poison. Good chance we put ourselves in a bad situation by giving it free block. 5 block, draw 2 cards works pretty nicely in our deck, I think. So I'll pick that up. I'm going to avoid the elite. We've just taken so much damage that I kind of want to get to that campfire. A long line of hooded figures can be seen entering an unassuming cathedral. Oh. So we can either get some money. I wish we got quite a bit. Deals 15 damage. If it kills an enemy, permanently increase this card's damage by 3. Exhaust. This seems pretty good for us. And we don't need the gold. Taking the damage is risky, but no risk, no reward. We're about to rest anyway. Heal for 30% of our max HP, so. Can't do anything, can't smith. I am going to avoid the elite here. I kind of want to. Well, no, it feels like too risky to go after elite maybe. If we go campsite, treasure, enemy, enemy, fire, enemy, enemy, fire. Yeah. Yeah, this seems fine. And sometimes the random events can be enemies as well, so. Uh-oh. There better be a payoff for this. I don't know if you can die to these events. I've never died to one. Obtain the book. I'm going to be at a campfire soon anyway, so... Necronomicon. The first attack played each turn that costs 2 or more is played twice. That's pretty good. Upon pickup, obtain a special curse. So our first attack we basically get to copy. Each turn, which is pretty spectacular. Upon pickup, get a curse. So what curse did we get? Unplayable, no escape from this curse. I don't really know what that means. I assume it's... I assume that means you just can't remove it from the deck. Which is annoying, but I think this is quite nice. Like, you just get to copy the first attack of every turn. Also, the more relics you pick up, the more you have to think. Which is probably a bad sign for me, coming off a long day at work and halfway through an Elvis juice from Brewdog. I've kind of had my fill of random events now, so we'll go treasure and then enemy. Daily chest. Pick up 30 gold, 10% more likely to find treasure in question mark rooms. Not bad. We've got a lot of gold, partially because we're gaining it every time we move a floor. We're going to be able to have like one really big shopping spree. Okay. Use our power. Survive damage. And that's not a bad first turn. Like, we're not doing any damage, but it means our second turn is going to be spectacular. The bird is doing some sort of ritual. End of its turn, gain 3 strength. So that's going to build up, so we probably want to deal with that. So yeah, let's focus on this bird. What block do we have? Got a finisher here as well, which is worth noting. Let's do this as well. Okay, so we're only taking 4. So we can survive this with just this thing, which means we want 1 for finisher and want to use the rest of attacks. And just really hammer this cultist. The expertise doesn't seem worth it. Really actually no point to doing that. So that cultist is fairly dealt with now. It'll die in a couple ticks to poison. And oh, this is the hex ones. This is the where we get the non-attack card put dazed into our pile. Yeah. Let's just deal with that. So this is if we use an attack card. I think if we leg sweep through this and set up a big next turn, I think we're okay. Feels like the deck's coming together a little bit now. Like we're having some nice payoff turns. Getting a bit more poison in there. Oh, we're still hexed. Okay. I guess we just don't lose that. Oh, right, yeah. If it's a green number, you just don't lose it. In which case, let's just be attacking then. Didn't draw any defensive cards, so we're gonna take a chunk. Ah, right. Lost life for the first turn. So it's already weakened. Need to get through 11 damage. So let's get rid of the dazed. Let's backflip. There's a finisher there. Okay, we're slowly working through this thing. So this is effectively at 20 life. Feels like we could probably kill it this turn. 4, 15, yeah. So just kill it to death. And poison will do the rest. I would still like more health, but we're going to get a bit of momentum. A second infinite blades is interesting. It means our first turn, our first turn is it's a lot better than normal because of this thing we had at the start. And I kind of like having that because it means we just get 8 damage a turn. And we're kind of very dotty anyway with the poison stuff. So you're doing the, when we die we get vulnerable. You're dealing 10. At the end of a turn get 14 block. Receiving attack damage reduces plated armor by 1. Nasty. We cannot absorb much damage here, to be honest. And I think we want to deal with the fungi beast last and just start working through this thing's block levels. But yeah, you can see how we're kind of vulnerable here. Only takes a few rough turns and begins to take a lot of problems. Okay, let's weaken stuff up. Only have to survive through 8 now. But we have not drawn any... Oh no, this will do some block. This isn't getting through that, so we might as well stick it over here. And let's get the poison on there, because we need to work through this plated armor, unfortunately. Because basically it's getting reset to 14 every turn, and once we start clicking through it, it stops getting so much block every time. And these things are only going to get stronger. Taking 19 this turn? Yeesh. I mean, literally our only option was play our entire hand. I don't want to kill this because the vulnerable's really annoying, and the poison's going to do a lot for that anyway. Adding Frail into the mix isn't too pleasing. This is where things like the Shiv can really come in handy. Because they're just kind of working their way through this armor. Okay, we're going to take the vulnerable and just get rid of that to kind of stem the bleeding. I think we'll be able to outlast this spore. We've got the poison on it and we can just focus it down now. It's going to be weak for a very long time. The Shivs are doing serious work here. Yep, I'll draw 4, discard 1. Get rid of you. Gain our block. This is definitely a war of attrition. I think we're gonna win, but God, are we not in a great spot. Sorry, I did kind of rush through that, but at this point, we can pick up enough block to survive the attack, and then can start just dealing damage. Might be able to just kill it outright this turn, because we've nicely worked our way through this armor. I don't think we'll be able to. Oh, the poison will do it. The poison will do it. I'm just going to play the blocks just in case, folks. I've definitely miscalculated damage before. Okay, we're alive. Barely. Crippling Cloud's been quite nice. Dodge and roll's solid. This adds some more shivs and some block. So let's try that. Let's try that. We want cheap cards. We definitely want to rest. It'd be nice to find a merchant because we could really add some really nice stuff to our deck. But we're not going to. I think we're just going to be taking on enemies. Oh, 3 of these can be quite nasty, actually. And we get to drop everything this turn on one of them. But the fact they all boost strength on themselves means that if you don't start killing them quickly enough, they can really get out of hand. So yeah, you can see the damage is already beginning to add up. Let's drop our shivs. Need to 18 damage coming our way. Also, all these shivs plus finisher, they really add up nicely. Yeah, let's gain some stuff. Okay, the crippling cloud's nice. That's going to reduce the damage down to 12. Speaking of 12, I think this is going to go down to 20 and then 8. I think if we do this, we don't have to focus on killing it too much next turn. The shivs will do it. So we'll take our lumps, we'll get one down. The poison will begin to tick up on the others. We draw a bunch of cards off losing HP. So how much damage do you need to take to die? Ah, well. More shivs. Oh yeah, your hand can get full, I forgot about that. So that's dealt with, and we move on to this fucker. Are we surviving? Oh, yeah, if we survive the block, then I'm just going to apply it here, so otherwise we've got like 5 weak on this and 1 on that. It's probably better to have 2 on this, 3 on that. And lay on some damage, take no damage, gain more energy for next turn, which hopefully not a finisher turn. But we might get to Ritual Dagger something. Yeah, so now the rituals are really adding up, so we're going to have to start dealing with more and more damage, unfortunately. Can we kill any of these? And 5 energy means we can play our whole hand, so if we just fire off the shivs here, because we can't actually kill anything, and we can fade all of the damage. This is what I mean, it's feeling like it's beginning to come together now. Adding some of those block cards in definitely helps. Okay, so definitely worth ritual daggering this. This gets us 14 block to deal with that, adds on the weakness. And then let's just get some extra stuff for next turn. And we should be able to force through the rest. Because the shivs are adding up. The leg sweeps in particular, they're just fading so much damage for us. It's really quite nice. And now we're just saying, we're just kind of like always drawing into them, never taking damage, and just chipping this thing away. But yeah, their strength only just goes up and up and up, so you're definitely on a clock with these guys. But yeah, these are the shivs. The shivs are doing work. I've never really tried the shiv approach, but it seems to be adding out, working out. Don't know if we want another outmaneuver. We're not really taking too much advantage of these things right now. 10 to all enemies, discard a card at random. Seems fine. This costs an additional 1 energy each time you lose combat. Deals 16 damage. That seems worth exploring. Okay, we just need to survive one more enemy, rest, and then a boss. Ah, this fucker. Thank God for Infinite Blades Plus. Get set up for a nice turn. I love these turns, just like, drop shivs, do what else we can do. So we do our shivs. Work our way through the blocking. Have no weak applied right now. So need to get through 15. This is our only block right now. More shiv. Draw 4. Would have been nice to find finisher there. And the Frail's such an annoying combo with this. I also probably should not have used one of those attacks and just added in a block, to be honest. Much like Magic, I'm guilty of playing my turns too fast. Okay. We do have a finisher in this hand and a ritual dagger. So shiv our way through the block. Add on the poison. Kinda need to still be doing blocking, to be honest. Otherwise, it feels like we will just slowly get chipped away by this. Really don't like fighting this thing. It really is quite annoying because of it dealing damage and being hard to kill itself. And we keep drawing these leg sweeps at the wrong time. It's not amazing so far. Just need to get 10 damage through this time. Which I think with the shivs we can probably do. Oh, how much does Ritual Dagger do? Oh, Ritual Dagger's so close. Oh, no, it's still too close, but this should do it. Be able to kill Ritual Dagger every time. Power Potion. That should be quite nice for the boss. Okay, here we go. This is a payoff. So shivs deal 3 additional damage. So that's a power. And if we get that early on, it means our shivs get out of control. And this is what I mean by building a deck. Is that you begin to really like gear towards these things. If we'd have picked, like, I think we had the opportunity to pick some like accuracy earlier. To pay off our shivs, but how are we to know? And now we have to fight a boss. What does this do? Bronze Automaton. 300 health, so we're going to be here a while. Negates 3 debuffs. That doesn't seem too bad so far. So let's use our abilities. Draw 3 takes us up to 5. This takes us up to 6. So don't need this. Get through some debuffs. Do some shiving, and then do shivs count as attacks? Yeah, they do. Oh no, yeah, that added up right. But yeah, finisher and shivs, definitely a nice little combination. Not a bad opening start. Ah, minions. So, ooh, this is a lot of damage. Minions abandon combat without the leader, so if we killed this, then they go away. The Masterful Stab. So let's weaken everything. We've now got through the artifact triggers. Still taking a lot of damage. I think we still rushed the boss a bit. I think we just want to start doing stuff like this. I should have done this at the start, I forgot we had it. Yeah, this is the kind of thing we want. Whenever you play a card, gain 1 block. This is also very good. These are the kind of cards you really want in your deck. So we're going to gain some additional block, but if we'd done that at the start of our turn, like, that would have been so good. And that's the thing about Slave Spire, is that it feels like you can always be improving the way you're playing. Next time we get a finisher, I'm going to use the attack potion. Because it should up quite nicely. Okay, 6 damage to get through. Right, well, shiv away. Why didn't I play this first? You begin to see what I mean. Let's just get our blocks out of the way. Let's start poisoning this thing and setting up our next turn. Slowly working our way through things. Takes a while for me. So what's this? Stasis. On death, leg sweep is returned to your hand. Oh, so it's taking cards out of our deck. Interesting. 20 damage to survive. So, we're definitely taking that. So I guess there's nothing for it but to just attack, attack, attack. This is definitely going to be a tricky one. The bosses are always really hard. And I guess there's maybe a case to be made for going after the minions first, but we've chunked through the damage quite a bit. It is mostly focusing on blocking now, which is a bit of a pain. Why do we lose backflip? Where's my finisher? Somewhere in here. Well, let's deal with the damage from 1. Okay, so we're gonna be fine next turn. Is there anything we can draw into that we can play? A neutralize, so it's not worth doing. Looking for a big finisher turn to deal with this, because it keeps getting this block and this damage. Okay, this is the finisher turn, so let's use this. 1 to all enemy. Okay, this just deals the most damage, but it costs 1 energy. 11 and 3, or yes, 11 and 3. So we also are just going to die next turn if we don't find a way through this. Like no amount of defending is going to do the trick. So we definitely need to try and find a way, but I don't think this is it. So I think we're just going to die here. I don't know if there's anything we could have done differently, but yeah, that's how it goes. I do definitely struggle with the silent. We get to unlock some cards. No, we don't. Ah, but we get the new character. That's exciting. I love roguelikes. So the joy of knowing the next thing we do is going to be different. We've also got a daily challenge we should probably do at some point. So what's this? The Defect. A combat automaton that became self-aware. Ancient technology allows the manipulation of ores. The relic is cracked core. At the start of each combat, channel 1 lightning. Huh. That's new. Interesting. Well, I'm going to nip away just for a second and put up a Be Right Back screen that definitely isn't stock and came with the the game. It was a good run, actually. I'm just going to nip out for a minute, and then I'll be right back. Okay, back. I'm actually quite excited by this. I thought you had to actually complete a run with the silent to unlock this, like get to the end, because I have never played with the defect. I have never seen anyone else play with the defect, so this is going to be really interesting for me to see how it actually works. So when this says get an orb, I have no idea what it means. Channeling an orb puts it into your first empty slot. If you have no empty slots, your first orb is automatically evoked to make room. Lightning orb deals damage to random enemies. No idea. I'm gonna go for this one. Just because I have no idea how this character works, and making the first few combats really easy will probably help. So what paths have we got? This is very enemies and unknowns with a campfire before it begins to link back up. Another campfire there. Down here, enemies, merchants, have to go through an elite. Only one campfire. Well, no risk, no reward. Okay. So we've got our defend and our strikes. We've got zap, channel 1 lightning. So channeling an orb puts into our first empty slot. So there's a slot, here's a slot, here's a slot. So we have 3 slots. This is going to deal 3 to a random enemy, and if we evoke it deals 8 to a random enemy. So evoking is if we fill it up with another thing. So if we can just kill these things outright, but now I know how this works. So you fill up the orbs, they have random effects. Energy potion, add a card. So this could go very badly while I figure out how this class works. Costs 1 less energy for each power card played this combat. Gain 12 block. Seems solid. Deals damage equal to 2 times the number of frost channeled this combat to all enemies. We don't have any frost yet. Deal 3 damage, apply 1 vulnerable for free. What's in our deck? Just lightning. And evoke your next orb twice. Consume your rightmost orb and use its evoke effect. See, this seems powerful, but we have no frost stuff. I don't know how likely it is to get frost stuff. We don't have any powers, I don't think. No powers. So this actually seems like the safe option is like it actually does something right now. Not much point going to the merchant, so got you. So how that works is you kill your most orb and it deals its effect twice. What we got? Deal 6 channel 1 frost. Gain energy for every 6 cards in your draw pile. That feels like it could be strong. Steam barrier, gain 6 block, decrease this card's block by 1 this combat. Okay. So it's a really cheap blocking thing that gets worse as the longer it comes on. I'm going to take this just because it feels like this class entirely revolves around making orbs happen. So let's make some orbs happen. Enemies. It's not going to be that easy for long. 7 block, channel 2 frost. And the frost orbs gain block. Well, block is pretty powerful in this game. And I'm a very defensively oriented person. So let's try that and see if we can, I guess, build a frost deck. And fight more enemies. Okay, so it's you guys. You're going to make me vulnerable. And you're going to attack me for 12. So if I deal 6, I get this orb. So does the free hit represent the amount of damage, or does it represent how long this sticks around? So we're going to gain 2 block at the end of every turn. So this will make us survive. I guess the thing is you can defend quite well and hide behind your lightning orbs. Okay, so this isn't turn, this is just how much it's doing. So... okay, I'm being scared. So we do this, we get 2 frost. That will deal 8 to something. And then we're gaining 6 block every turn. But I guess we can evoke this, deal 8, evoke these, so we'll gain 6 plus 7, that's 13, enough to survive this. Oh, we've got not enough energy to kill that. Okay, I get how this class works. This is an interesting one. This is not what I expected, and it's actually really cool. So let's see if we can kill stuff this turn. So we kill some stuff. When we do this, gain 5 block. Oh, this is I'm almost certainly going to play this one wrong, but this is really cool. I really like how the class is just like acting completely different ways. Like this is so different to the other two. Right, what have we got? Gain 3 block, put a card from your discard pile into your hand. Exhaust. That seems quite good. Especially when we need to evoke orbs all the time and put them in our slots. Deal 3, increase the damage of all claw cards by 2 this combat. That feels like its own deck. Deal 7 damage, draw 3 cards, discard all cards drawn this way that do not cost 0. Which is everything in our deck right now. Don't know how well we can build around these two, and this seems fairly solid in itself. So we'll go for hologram. Gonna have to fight an elite soon, so we'll see how that goes. Okay. I'm more scared of the bird, so start stacking up our orbs and getting some damage. The randomness is an interesting one because it's not guaranteed. It's a little unreliable. Okay, let's make you take more damage. We need to 6 coming in. This is going to add 2. If we do this, we deal 8, and we'll get 6 block. So yeah, let's do that. This could kill some stuff. Let's ding that for a little bit. This is a really completely different way to play the game. And it made us wait for the third class, but damn, it delivered. Okay. Lots of damage coming in. We're going to gain 4 block, 7 block, 10 block. That's still not enough. So let's evoke and deal some damage. That's not going to be enough to kill that. Oh, we're gaining very little block actually, aren't we? Well, 6, 8, 10. Only take 9. Or 11 rather. Also, hello Robson. I realise you've not been able to watch my streams for a while because they've just all been magic. Yeah, Glacier will let us eat all this damage. And then we'll keep pinging away at this bird. I figure if you get any of the cards that retain block over time with this character, you can really get out of hand. Okay. So I think if we kill that, and then this has to deal 8 to that, so yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's interesting, because I think of this as single player magic, where you're just playing a combo deck, for the most part. Game 5 strength, I'm never a fan of those kind of potions. 6 damage to everything, draw a card. Gain block equal to the number of cards in your discard pile. If you have no block, gain 11 block. This seems like a very block heavy character from all the cards I'm seeing. Yeah, that seems solid. 1 mana for 11 block. Let's see how our first elite battle goes. Ah, this guy. Okay. Not taking any damage, so get some lightning in here. Do a hit. Don't want to dual cast just yet, because I feel like the incremental damage will add up. If I was a skeleton goat in the last game, I think so. I don't really know what it's supposed to be. I really don't. Oh, right. More strength for every... Keep forgetting that. Yeah. Slay the Spire is kind of goes with my theory that if you add procedural generation to anything, it's just a lot better. Just by default. Okay. Well, we're taking a lot of damage here, for sure. We can add a bunch of damage by evoking this lightning. Not more than we're going to be blocking though. Maybe we should have thought that through a bit better. Take a big lump. This thing we just need to burn down. So 6, 12, 18. Take 8. We're going to take another big whack. Maybe we should have used that steroid potion there actually. There we go. Got a pair. Okay. More max HP is never nice. It is never bad. So that's another one of those. Gain 4 focus at the start of your turn, lose 1 focus. Focus increases the effectiveness of channeled orbs. Deal 4 for each channeled orb. I'm going to try this because I think yellow indicates rare, and in theory that should be more powerful. I also don't know how this focus thing works, so let's find out. What is this? Acid Slime. Split. When its HP is at or below 50%, will split into 2 smaller slimes with Acid Slime's current HP. And it's going to hit us for many. which I think we can't block all of it. So let's do this. So now this is dealing 7. So, okay, so focus 4 adds 4 to everything. So let's just add a bunch more damage on. We're going to take another big hit, but maybe we can make this split. And no, we can't. I definitely see why you need the frost orbs. It definitely feels like one where you need a lot of block. What's half of 69? 35? So that won't take it down enough. We can just sit through this and make it split on its next turn. I think making these things split, yeah, interrupts it. With PG, I thoroughly enjoy the unpredictability, replayability, and the range of content. Oh, procedural generation. Got ya. I was like trying to figure out what PG was for a second there. Okay, so we're gonna have 4 block at the end of turn. This would take us to 7. We need to find 10 more, but we could get an auto shields. So let's do that. Oh, that does not work with auto shields because you just gain the block and then the other thing doesn't take effect. Whoops. Although if we're lucky we might make one of those split, but we didn't. Oh, these ones don't split, that's why. We're learning! This seems good. Nice. Yeah, would you believe that... What's this doing? I forgot what slime does. Yeah, I do... Like, it's amazing how much I was really into heat signature as a concept and beta tested it, and I've never actually got around to playing the full game. It's kind of ridiculous, really. It feels like this class is really coming together now. Yeah, I really like randomness in games. Within reason. I've definitely seen some people arguing. I'm kind of coming around on the idea that some games have too much randomness. I think FTL comes to mind. Deal 3 damage. If the enemy intends to attack, apply 1 weak. Seems solid. Gain 6 block. Gain 9 block. I feel like I prefer the reliability of gain 9 versus the decreasing 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I also think we definitely need to heal. What are our potions again? Got you. Pillow. Whenever you rest, gain an additional 15 HP. Nice. We're now set up on this path, so let's see what we get here. I don't really have any cards I want to remove right now, but I will take a bit of healing. And then I like the idea of getting a relic off the elite, so if we go here, fully heal up, and then start getting stuff off this. Cool. Yeah, I should play it. I mean, these guys. The amount of like things I would really love to play right now and just I'm not getting around to. Like, I'm kind of doing the whole regular streaming thing. And in between that, like, I've just recently restarted Divinity Original Sin because I was like, might as well. I only got like a small amount through, so I might as well play it on the definitive edition. And then I started a new game and realised I've completely bricked it already in some ways. I still need to play Firewatch. I've got a very long-term game of XCOM 2 I need to finish. And yeah, I like Heat Signature really feels like my jam. Like, I've seen other people play it, it looks great. I just haven't got around to it myself. Okay, so let's get that sorted. Let's get some lightning going. And let's survive this turn. The random damage is really interesting. I know it's a really weird thing that I like in games is having my characters have the ability to do random things, and that odd things might happen. Like, I've always enjoyed playing magic cards, magic decks where randomness becomes a factor, and it seems to translate through. Okay, it's got 18 damage to survive, so if we do that, this is going to give us, get us to 16. But if we defend... Yeah, this is what I like, because we're just sitting behind defensive abilities and dealing damage. It's really my kind of playstyle. I really like the grind, death by 1,000 cuts type thing. Yeah, Firewatch is another weird one. Like, I've got, literally, I don't know if it was here when you were last at my house, but I've got like that limited edition print of Firewatch, and I was really into the idea, and I did have like a really big break of not playing games, and it's one of the downsides to being really into Magic, that it stops you playing other things to a very annoying degree. So 4, 5, so survive that. That will hopefully get taken out now by something. Cool. Because even the games I'm playing, like XCOM is a massive time sink. Divinity's a huge time sink as well. I'm really liking that this auto shields card. So let's try and take down the weakest one. We're gonna start drawing like hands full of dazed. It's gonna suck. Yeah, just like this. Let's continue trying to kill this. I think if we do this, we get enough block, and there's a good chance we'll kill something. There we go. Nice. And then finish off our blocking and start dealing damage again. Yeah, the fireworks print is beautiful. Like, it's one of those that, like, I don't normally go in for this kind of thing, but it's like literally like one of 1,000 that exist. Because I don't know if you listen to podcasts, but the reason I was like so enamored by the idea of Firewatch is because I used to really... Oh, I guess there's the downside of this. The focus goes negative and the orbs are barely doing anything now. That is really interesting. And something I wish I'd have noticed before. I guess I might as well use this now. Basically, like, a lot of the guys behind Firewatch were the people who did the original Walking Dead series, and also used to do a podcast, and well, still do a podcast called Idle Thumbs, and they used to talk about game design in like really fascinating and interesting ways, and they would kind of look at games in a really interesting way, and the kind of games they were always really excited by were the kind of games that I was always really excited by. So it was like, oh, it's going to be a game in the style that I like, made by people who I really respect. And yeah, it's just one of those things I've never got around to. Like, I can't even, like, I'm trying to think what the last game I completed was. I mean, completed is a relative term. Oh, we got a lot of things for that. Tiny chest. More gold, more treasure. Fill all your empty potion slots with random potions. Well, I prefer that over this. But yeah, Idle Thumbs is a great podcast. I'm even like... I've got too many things that I do. I'm literally like 2 years behind on Idle Thumbs. But like even going back and listening to him talking about things is like super relevant. Prevent the next time you lose HP, channel 1 plasma. That gives you energy. That seems interesting. Remove all orbs and gain one card. Gain energy and draw 1 card for each orb removed. That could be good. I have no idea, but let's see what plasma orbs are good. Yeah, I mean, there's like Idle Thumbs is the only gaming podcast I particularly listen to. I just because there's so many to listen to about so many various different things. But yeah, it's I really like it. I don't know if the quality's been maintained over the last 2 years. But there's definitely a lot of games that I played and heard of because I was really interested in it by them. I mean, cat person. So, what have we got? Let's start with relics. Upon pickup, choose an attack. Start each combat with best card in your hand. So you basically give something innate. If you end your turn without block, gain 6 block. Reviewing your draw pile, the cards are now shown in order. That can be really powerful in the right thing. Draw 3. Potion's not very bad. Every time you play 5 cards in a single turn, deal 10 damage to all enemies. So that's exactly what we wanted in our last run. Exhaust 3 cards in your hand. Exhaust. Whenever you play a power card, draw 1 card. Evoke your next orb. Channel the orb that was just evoked. That seems pretty solid. Deal 7 damage. Channel 1 lightning. I definitely want to like keep up the idea that we can just channel stuff. And the rest of this stuff seems fairly average, so I'll leave it for now. I fancy taking on an elite. Ah, you. This fucker. Make you vulnerable right off. And start getting our orbs going. But yeah, I think like there was a spate of where I was able to work my way through narrative games. So like I got through Oxenfree, I got through Night in the Woods. But now it's like I've got so many games that I'm like part of the way through. That seems solid. But at the same time, we need this block. So we've got a lot of skills. So like, I'm almost at the end of Persona 5. I'm like I don't know how far I am through XCOM 2. Divinity I'm kind of working my way through. I got a Switch last year, so I'm like working my way through Zelda. I'm working my way through Octopath Traveler. And it's just like, oh, if I could only focus. So this is dealing 6, 12, 18. Take 1 big hit. This is only making things worse, so I think we just take 1 big hit. Drink this potion. And then kill it next turn. It is, like, I think like, one of the things I've definitely noticed, that should be enough. One of the things that I've noticed for me in games is that I like playing games that get the sense that you're building towards something. And I think it's why I really like RPGs and JRPGs. It's why I like things like this, because every run is building somewhere. Whenever I rest, may add a card into your deck. That is a fantastic relic. How many power cards do we have at this point? 1. So that's still not great. I've actually quite like Glacier, so. And now we get a free card for resting. But I'm going to Smith. So smithing, we didn't do this in the last run because the relic stopped us. Basically means you get to upgrade. And it tells you what you can do. So deal 10 and get 1 lightning. Glacier, more block. This I didn't realise is not a turn 1 play. Kind of always want to look to your... Okay, that costs nothing. 4 damage, 2 vulnerable. Let's try upgrading Glacier. But yeah, it's just like, it's very hard for me to find time to sit down and complete games in one go. Try to play games where I can simultaneously... Yeah, I think, like Stardew Valley, I'd love to get more into. Or even just get around to. Prison Architect is one it's always on my list. I think it's tricky for me as well because like I've got 2 monitors, I can kind of do that, but now obviously, you know, I'm living with Tom, so there's always lots of things going on. About to go into the first boss for this one. You keep mentioning poker as well. Have you like started picking up poker, or do you just enjoy watching it? I do not remember how this boss works. It's going to block. After receiving 30 damage, changes to a defensive mode. Right, I vaguely remember this. I feel like it builds up to attacks and you have to try and interrupt it. Yeah, Tom is. And I'm sure he's going to get round to more games soon. Like, he's wrapping up uni in the next week or 2. And that's going to give him a lot more free time. To actually play games. We don't really have the tools to do many co-op games right now. I mean, it reminds me of another game. Like Tom's doing his dissertation on Dark Souls, and that's another one I've just not finished. Same as Bloodborne, same as Sekiro. Okay, so they're not taking any damage, so get this in. And I guess we might as well just do that. And just use cards for no reason. Oh, right, yeah. This charges up and deals a bunch of damage. Yeah, 32 damage, that's a lot. But we might be able to survive that. So we're gonna... 14. This will make it 16. Get some damage in. Or do we just gain this and keep the damage over time? So this would be 15, 17, 19. Yeah, I think we just defend. Yeah, like what times we live in where you can do your dissertation on video games. It's rad. And the more I read about, the more I play Dark Souls, the more I read about it, I just realise that how just excellent that game is. I'm now very wary of this card, because it eventually makes you absolute useless. Ew. Weakened and vulnerable. What's 7 times 4? 28? Can't even really use these effectively. 10, 11. Can't add any more frost. But adding the plasma might be interesting. Oh, of course. We just make it shift. In which case, I'm a genius, and that was definitely the best thing to do. Yeah, poker's a bit of a rabbit hole to fall down into, isn't it? Sharp hide. Whenever you play an attack, take 3 damage, so we just won't do that for a bit. That's going to attack for 13. That's an attack. And now we need to get some sort of lightning orb, so I'm just going to have to take some lumps there. Oh, I really didn't want to actually do that, but here we are. Yeah, like I mean, I used to play a lot of poker, a few years back, like in person and online. I just did not have the time to dedicate to become actually good at it. And juggling these orbs is really quite difficult. Yeah, occasionally would go on poker trips to Portsmouth. A very long time ago. I need to save 20. I should do a lot of it. Yeah, and I played in some really big ones at Coventry as well. But yeah, I think really to become like properly good at poker, you need to. Oh, these were horrendous draws for this turn. Like you need a lot of skill and dedication, particularly to the maths, and it needs a lot of self-discipline, which not always the easiest, as I found out. I mean, when I actually put my mind to it, I did pretty well at it. 22, 24. Right. So we get to evoke one of them, and then do this. And we're good. Then let's get some random potions. Gain 3 fawns. That deals damage back. Dexterity. Strength. I like gaining 3 fawns. Yeah. I definitely... It's weird, I was a much better player in paper than I was in online. And I think there's something about the forced patience of playing in paper. Yeah, it's hard not to be nervous at tournaments. For sure. And like it's something I struggled with, in particular. But like one of the things that is very tricky about that is just, oh right, it's in the other mode. Is just like the thing with poker tournaments is that they are extremely boring in some ways. Like there's definitely the thrill of playing it in paper, and like the nervousness definitely wears off, purely because you are just there for a very long time. And you just kind of like you're sitting there, you're waiting for the cards that you need to come through, and it gives you the chance to really evaluate what players are doing. You really have a lot of time to think about hands as opposed to like the online clocks. But yeah, it's grindy and it's long. I'm enjoying juggling these things. Yeah, getting away from your starting hand is never particularly pleasant. should be able to finish this off pretty soon, I think. Don't actually need to do that this turn. It's very tricky, particularly online, because online people play really loose compared to paper. And paper, you can get a better sense of the dynamics of the table, and kind of like who you should be watching out for and whatnot. Whereas online, especially, like, it's weird because in some ways to play proper poker online you need to be playing really high stakes, otherwise you're playing against a bunch of people who are just kind of doing a lot of random stuff that doesn't really make sense. And that's very hard to deal with. And it also depends like what kind of poker you're playing. Like, I don't know what poker you are playing. I don't know if it's like tournament-oriented poker, which is just like everyone starts at the same chips and whatnot, or if you're playing cash game. I had always a very weird thing where I preferred playing cash game, but was much better at tournament. I think we can get close to finishing this off now. I have to admit, I don't know what prominence poker is. Next power card is played twice. We don't have any power cards. At the start of your turn, add a random power card into your hand. That I like. Let's try Creative AI. Upon pickup, obtain a potion. Gain 50 gold. Raise your max HP by 5 cards. Obtain 1 card. Upgrade 1 random card. That's the thing we had in our last run. Gain energy at the start. Oh, I don't like that. I don't like that at all. I kind of like this one. Just kind of build things up. Oh, we didn't get to choose what it was though. Double your energy exhaust. Gain 10 block exhaust. Channel 1 random orb. I like me some chouse, so... Act 2. I really want to go to a merchant. This path does go through one. Goes through some elites. But very narrow. Ah, got you. This is definitely the more risky path because it's less option to move, but I kind of like trying to run through some elites. Oh no, we're going to get thieved. Okay, let's get a lot of block going. Yeah, I have to admit, I've not played poker on anything that isn't like real life or Poker Stars for a very long time. Can we afford to take the turn off? I'm going to say yes. And we'll see how much this backfires. Oh yeah, that sounds like a cash game. It's another weird dynamic of poker is I much prefer cash game online than I do in paper. And much prefer tournaments in paper than much prefer tournaments online than I do in paper. I think I said that right. So you guys are defending and we need to kill you pretty quickly. So that's our power. That's an interesting one. You're who I want to kill. Evoke onto you. Yeah, I guess I don't really want to evoke at the moment, so So I don't like cash game in paper because it is extraordinarily slow. Wait, no, I think I did say that the wrong way around. Cash game online. Oh, these are both going to try and run away. Can only really kill one of them. Gain 2 orb slots. Cool. I think we're just going to lose a bunch of gold here, to be honest. So yeah, cash game is better in paper because you can get used to the table more. So if someone sits down to play cash game in a casino or somewhere where they play poker, they're basically staying for a while, and you get a really good sense of... That's an interesting one. A lot of power's going on. I think I like this. So yeah, you get a sense of the table. You get used to how the people play. You really get to observe. Whereas online, people will bounce on and off your table all the time. A lot of poker is understanding how people play and their patterns and what they like to do with things and the weaknesses you can exploit of theirs. Like, to me, that's the fun of poker. It's that kind of pattern recognition. What am I going to upgrade? Maybe that. Ooh, that actually seems quite good. Whereas with tournaments online are nicer because, you know, the kind of tournaments I play go on for a very long time. And playing a tournament in paper, particularly the way I play it, is you're not playing many hands. You're in a random place. It's uncomfortable because casinos are never comfortable. And like the last big tournament I played, it's like you get there for 9 AM, you'll be playing until 9 PM, then you have to get home, and if you made the second day, you have to get back for that as well. And it is just a lot of waiting around. Whereas online, the pace is quicker, and even if it's like going to be a long thing, you can go get food, you can go to a cup of tea. You don't have to worry about missing a turn because you're going to the bathroom, and things like that. It's vastly preferable. Yeah, that's the thing. Like online poker as well. Like depending on the depending on the like stakes you're playing, need to block 10. I'm going to be gaining a lot of energy, but I think if we do that, yeah, yeah, because like the lower stakes you play, the more erratic people are. And it's also like one of the things is like it was much more like if you look at it from a profit point of view, like if you're looking at it from a having to figure out your gameplay a lot more, now is a good time to play because the people who kind of play online poker are pretty experienced at this point. They don't fall into a lot of the common pitfalls that you normally see. A lot of players fall into when they're new. If the interest was profit, well, what's interesting about that is I'm also not explaining what I'm doing anymore at all. I also meant to get a different card there. It's like in the early days of the poker scene, when people just rushed on and had no idea how to play poker and they were really exploitable. It also depends like why you play. For me, a lot of it was always that kind of mental challenge of like trying to, you know, really figure out and kind of winning that battle of wits. And it's kind of a void that Magic fills for me now. Although poker taps into it in a different way because it's like, there's creative AI. I think creative AI might be too slow. Because the thing with poker is you're always, for the most part, playing on an even playing field. Like, someone can't buy a better deck of cards. Lightning now hits all enemies. It's kind of passive thing, this loop, is just constantly triggering the frost one, which means I can't use this very well. That's enough to live. This is actually really tricky because I'm finding it hard to lay damage onto this thing. Whenever I play a power card, channel a lightning. Right, I think I need to do it this way because I need to actually be doing damage to this thing. And if I'm triggering this passively, that's quite nice. Ooh, gaining orb slots. That seems good. Yeah, I never like fighting this enemy. Like, it's really, really hard to deal with. Start your turn, add a random common card into your hand. Like, we're struggling to defend against it, while simultaneously not putting any damage on it. It's definitely probably wasn't the best time for me to get into an in-depth conversation because this requires so much thought. 10. Oh wow, it's not even the powers you randomly add don't even get exhausted. Okay, needs to survive damage, so we're getting 6 block at least. This might get a small block. What is this? At the end of this turn, increase this orb's damage by 6. So it's currently doing 6. Evoke, deals 6 damage to the enemy with the lowest HP. Oh, don't feel guilty, it's my own fault for falling into the trap. That's going to take away our blocking options. I have to admit, I have no idea what's going on anymore. All these abilities and powers are really adding up. I also need to head off soon, I think. Let's add more of that. Add a ridiculous amount of block. Oh wow, okay, so the longer this sticks around, the more the evoke does. Okay, this seems like a good time for that. And this might kill. Okay, that's going to be enough for the passive. Okay, I think I'm going to call it there, because I intended to wrap up at 9:30, and I wasn't expecting this to take so long. Deal 15 damage, reduce this card's cost by 1 this combat. Evoke your next orb, counter the orb that's evoked, deal 6, gain 1. I think I like the cold snap more. But yeah, I'm going to call it here and return to this at some other point. Yeah, it's weird. There's definitely like Slay the Spire manages to hit a sweet spot that like I know all my quite a few of my Magic playing friends like it, and some hate it. But yeah, it's just very clear. Like a lot of card games really get drowned in complexity, and this one really doesn't. Which is why we like it, and which is why I'll return to it at some point, maybe over the weekend, maybe Monday, because this could easily go on for a while. So yeah, thank you for those who came along. It's definitely the longest stream I've done to date, and yeah, I will see people soon.